Okay, good evening. So this is the rationalization of our free clinical chemistry quiz. So I'm Dr. Pascual. Commercial lang bago tayo mag-start. Again, we'd like to invite you to our online review program. So in-adjust na po namin yung start date ng ating online review. It would be on June 28 already. Then after that, so dire-diretso na siya, yung end nung review would be adjusted din to compensate kung kailan man yung magiging bagong board exam dates. Okay, so hindi namin kayo iiwanan hanggang sa huli. Right? So yun po. If you think that you would benefit from this, no, we highly recommend that you enroll as early as possible. We're already we have already started no shaping the notes. Kaya yun. Okay? So we can't wait na samahan nyo kami sa aming online review program. Alright? So we asked how difficult was the quiz. So again, most students answered 8 over 10. May mga sumagot din ng 10 over 10, very difficult. Pero may mga marami-rami din sumagot ng 5 over 10. Right? Wala naman sumagot ng 1 over 10. So may challenge pa rin yung quizzes natin. Then these are the scores. Okay? Ito yung distribution ng scores. So sabi ko kanina, meron tatlong naka-perfect, 20 over 20. Pero sadly, meron pa ring mga naka 3 over 10, 3 over 20, 4 over 20. So yun guys, if you are at the lower half of this distribution, I think it's time that you start studying again clinical chemistry. Right? Yun yung kagandahan ng mga quiz eh. Okay? Hindi ito yung mismong board. So, ano lang siya, kumbaga, minemeasure mo lang kung gaano ka na ka-prepared for this particular subject. So, pag na-measure mo yan, gaano ka prepared sa particular subject or na-assess mo na yan kung gaano ka prepared na sa isang subject, of course, you can use that knowledge no, na i-motivate yung sarili mo na mag-aral pa for this subject. Okay? Hindi ito yung mismong boards. Okay? We just learn from this. We just adjust using yung whatever scores natin. Okay? So, let this motivate you. Pag mababa, edi mag-aral mas mabuti, 'di ba? Ganun lang. Kung mataas ka, aralin mo pa rin para ma-maintain 'yan kasi uh, humans tayo, we forget, 'di ba? So aral lang na aral. Repetition is the key. Right? So let's jump to question number 1. Proteins in a buffer that sets the pH at 8.6, okay, will become blank charged and migrate to the blank. Okay? So negatively charged ba or positively charged? Magmamigrate ba sa anode or cathode? So the answer here would be, okay, letter A. So negatively charged and migrate to the anode. Alright? So yung mga proteins natin, if you bring them to pH 8.6, we're talking about the serum proteins, most of them become negatively charged. Okay? So their tendency is to move towards the positively charged electrode. And the positively charged electrode is your anode. Okay, dyan nalilito yung students. Okay, yung positively charged na electrode is the anode. Negatively charged is the cathode. Remember, parang magnets lang din yan. Opposite charges attract. Okay, so let's discuss electrophoresis. Electrophoresis is based on the principle of separating charged compounds based on their electrical charge. Okay, and the components include a driving force, which would be electricity. Your support medium would include filter paper or agarose or cellulose acetate or polyacrylamide. Okay? Tinanong na sa board exam guys, ano yung most common na support medium? Okay? And most commonly, ang ginagamit po is cellulose acetate. Alright? And you also need the buffer, and the buffer will maintain the pH. So sabi nga natin, when you do serum protein electrophoresis, the pH is at 8.6. And at 8.6, the proteins are negatively charged. You also need the sample. Most of the time, the sample is serum, not plasma. Okay? Serum, not plasma. Kaya kapag nag-electrophoresis ka using serum, you will not be detecting fibrinogen. Kasi remember, in serum, you do not have fibrinogen. Pag nagkamali ka, nagamit mo yung plasma, what happens is that fibrinogen will appear in your results. Okay? Then, you also need the detecting system, and most of the time, that's your densitometer. Right? So this is another illustration of your electrophoresis. So meron kang mga sample wells dyan where you will put your serum. Then you have here the negative and the positive electrode, or the cathode and the anode respectively. Okay, so pag tinurn on mo yung electrical current, the proteins will migrate towards the anode, which is the positively charged electrode. Okay, again, ang principle dito, opposites attract. Okay, opposites attract. Imagine niyo guys, pag nilagay niyo yung sample niyo dito sa dulo, malapit sa positive electrode, tapos tinurn on mo yung current, what would happen? Okay, mahuhulog siya dito sa support medium, di ba? Hindi mo masiseparate na maayos. So, kailangan lalagay mo siya dito malapit sa negative electrode para yung movement niya papunta ng positive electrode. Alright? So, that's electrophoresis. Okay? Next question. Whole blood glucose values are blank of your plasma glucose value. So, the answer here is about 11% lower. This would actually depend on the textbook that you are using. Okay? Hindi ko maalala kung si Bishop or Henry, yung isa sabi niya is 10 to 15% lower. And yun yung values na ginamit for the board exam. Okay? Ganitong question. But the answer is 10 to 15% lower ang whole blood glucose values. Right? So please remember that, no? Yung 11% dito, pumapasok pa rin naman siya dun sa 10 to 15% na range. So tama. Okay? Now, for this reason, point-of-care whole blood glucose meters are programmed to correct the value before presenting the result. Therefore, the whole blood glucose meter results correlates to serum or plasma results. Okay, ibig sabihin lang, pag gumagamit ka ng whole blood as your sample, yung yung POCT mo na machine, automatically ina-adjust na yan to correlate dun sa serum or plasma results. Okay? Taking into consideration na yun nga, lower ang whole blood glucose. Okay? So, ilan? 11% or 10 to 15% lower. Next question. Which of the following is a liver enzyme that is instrumental in allowing glucose to enter the bloodstream? Okay? So, the answer here is glucose 6-phosphatase. Now, when we're talking about this, we're actually talking about your glycogen metabolism. Okay? You do not need to memorize kung ano yung nandito sa slide ko. I'm just going to give you a brief background of your glycogen metabolism. So in the human body, glycogen is primarily stored in the liver and the skeletal muscle. Okay? Alam natin na ang glycogen, galing po yan sa glucose. Okay? Galing sa glucose yan. If you have excess glucose, okay, that glucose is converted to glucose 6-phosphate, then through glycogen synthase, okay, that is converted to glycogen. Okay, that is stored to glycogen. So from glucose to glycogen, ang tawag natin sa process na yun is glycogenesis. Okay? That happens for both the liver and the skeletal muscle. Okay, yung excess glucose sinustore as glycogen in the process which we call glycogenesis. Okay? Now, pag kailangan na yung glucose, glycogen would be broken down. Okay? Glycogen would be broken down in the process which we call as glycogenolysis. Okay? And the enzyme that is important here is glycogen phosphorylase. So again, in both the liver and the skeletal muscle, you would see glycogenolysis. Okay? Breakdown ng glycogen to release glucose. Now take a look closely. Sa liver, yung glycogen nyo would be broken down into glucose 1-phosphate, then through phosphoglucometase, nagiging glucose 6-phosphate, then through glucose 6-phosphatase, it becomes your glucose. Okay? Anong importance ng pathway na yan? Okay? Ang importance po nito, okay, yung pathway kung saan nagpa-participate si glucose 6-phosphatase is that yung pathway na to ang responsible for releasing the glucose, okay, from the liver. So without this glucose phosphatase, hindi mo ma-release yung glucose from the liver. Tingnan niyo sa skeletal muscle. Okay, meron siyang glycogenesis, meron din siyang glycogenolysis. Okay, pero wala yung pathway na nakita natin sa liver. Okay, wala yung release ng glucose, okay, to the bloodstream. Kaya ang skeletal muscle po, it can only use its glycogen for itself. Okay, pag tinago mo na yung glucose sa skeletal muscle as glycogen, okay, tas break down mo yung glycogen na yun, magagamit lang siya by the skeletal muscle. Hindi mo na siya may babalik ulit sa bloodstream. Unlike the liver, na yung tinago niyang glycogen, pag breakdown niya back to glucose, that can be released into the bloodstream. Kasi ang liver may glucose 6-phosphatase. Okay? So, yun lang. Key takeaways dito sa glycogen metabolism. Una, ano yung dalawang organs? Liver and skeletal muscle. That is where we store the glycogen. Pangalawa, ano yung mga processes? You have glycogenesis and glycogenolysis. Then pangatlo, between the liver and the skeletal muscle, sino yung pwedeng mag-release ng glucose, okay, to prevent hypoglycemia? That's the liver. Okay, ang skeletal muscle hindi niya mare-release yung na-store niya na glucose. Alright? Now, in connection to this, you have your glycogen storage diseases. Okay? So your glycogen storage diseases are a result of the deficiency of a specific enzyme that causes an alteration of your glycogen metabolism. So the most common congenital form is your von Gierk's disease. Okay, please remember this, guys. Ito yung commonly na tinatanong about glycogen storage diseases, si von Gierk. And what enzyme is deficient? The enzyme deficient is glucose 6-phosphatase. Now, nabanggit natin yung function ng glucose 6-phosphatase. Tama po ba? Diba? So pag wala yung glucose 6-phosphatase, what happens? Ang nangyayari po, yung liver, nakakapag-store siya ng kanyang glycogen, pero hindi niya na ma-release, okay, tulad ng muscles. So what happens is that the liver eventually enlarges, nagkaka-hepatomegaly because of the accumulation of glycogen. Okay? So that's the problem in von Gierk disease. So von Gierk is autosomal recessive, characterized by severe hypoglycemia. Bakit kayo nag-hypoglycemia? Kasi hindi mo mailabas yung glucose from the liver to the bloodstream because of the deficiency of what enzyme? Glucose 6-phosphatase. Okay? And this coincides with metabolic acidosis, ketonemia, and elevated lactate and alanine. Okay? These are explained by the hypoglycemia. Okay? Because of the hypoglycemia, the body is forced to use fats. Okay? Nagkakaroon ka ng lipolysis, kaya magkakaroon ng metabolic acidosis, ketonemia, or the presence of ketone bodies. Okay? Yan. Glycogen build-up leads to hepatomegaly. Again, hindi mo ma-release yung glycogen. Okay? Because of a deficiency of your glucose 6-phosphatase. Now, aside from von Gierk's disease, you also have other types of glycogen storage diseases. Okay? Actually, may numbers po yan. Okay? Type 1 hanggang type 8. Okay? So, for each type, you have a corresponding name. Alam na natin yung type 1, that's von Gierk's. Right? So, memorize na lang po natin yung iba. Okay? So, may mnemonics tayo dyan. Viagra pill causes a muscle hardening type. Okay? Ano ibig sabihin yan? Von Gierk's, Pompey's, Corey Forbes, Anderson's, McArdle's, Hurst, and Tarui. Okay? Yung mga iba dyan na columns, kahit wag na siguro. Alright? Defective enzyme, yan. Pwede pa natin i-memorize. Okay? So usually yun naman yung tinatanong sa board exam eh. Yung other name or kung anong enzyme na kulang. Okay, next question. Which lipid does not serve as a source of fuel but can be converted to steroid hormones? So, majority tama naman dito. The answer would be cholesterol. Okay? So let's discuss the other types of lipids. Okay? Your lipids are water insoluble. Yun yung kanilang common na characteristic, right? So fatty acids are the simplest. They actually serve as building blocks for the other lipids. Triglycerides are comprised of one glycerol molecule plus 3 fatty acids. Ang triglyceride nyo ginagamit as a storage form of energy. Okay? Found in adipose tissue. Phospholipids are comprised of a glycerol backbone, 2 fatty acids, and a phosphate group. Tapos ginagamit siya sa structure ng cell membrane. Okay, so important yan sa cell membrane. Ang cholesterol nyo, one of its most important functions would be in the production of steroid hormones. Lahat ng steroid hormones po are based from cholesterol. Okay, they are based from cholesterol. Okay? So cholesterol is an unsaturated steroid alcohol. Cholesterol is unique in that, unlike other lipids, it is not readily catabolized by most cells and therefore that does not serve as a source of fuel. Okay, hindi po siya energy source. A small amount of cholesterol can also be converted by some tissue such as your adrenal gland, testis, and ovary to steroid hormones. So ano ba yung mga steroid hormones, guys? You have your glucocorticoids. Anong maganda example ng glucocorticoid? Can you tell me an example of a glucocorticoid? Cortisol, di ba? Your cortisol is a glucocorticoid and it is important in the regulation of your blood glucose levels. Mineralocorticoids include aldosterone. Important naman yan sa regulation ng salts or ng electrolytes. And of course, estrogen as well as the other sex steroids. These are all steroid hormones. So just like cholesterol, these hormones are water insoluble. Kasi base sila from a lipid eh. So yung mga steroid hormones yung water insoluble. Right? Next, chylomicrons are primarily composed of. Okay, so yung tanong na to about lipoproteins na. So ano yung pinaka-composition ng chylomicron? Your chylomicrons are made up of mostly triglyceride. Okay, around 85 to 95% yan na triglyceride. Okay? Now, yung size ng lipoproteins nyo, correlated po yan dun sa kanilang triglyceride content. So, kakalimutan, yung size ng lipoprotein correlated sa triglyceride content. Now, being the largest, your chylomicron is the largest, remember, being the largest, of course, it is expected na siya may pinakamaraming triglycerides. Okay? Eh, sino naman yung pinakakaunti ang triglyceride? Sino ba yung smallest na lipoprotein? Naalala nyo ba, guys? Ano yung smallest na lipoprotein? The smallest lipoprotein would, of course, be HDL. Okay? Siya yung may pinaka-kaunting triglyceride when it comes to percentage composition. Okay? Although it is the smallest, okay, siya yung pinaka-densest. Kasi mostly protein siya. Unlike the chylomicrons na mostly triglyceride na mababa yung density. So least dense, chylomicron. Densest, HDL. Right? So this is just an illustration of the various types of lipoproteins. So again, you have the chylomicron, which is the largest. It has the highest triglyceride content, but the least dense. Ang VLDL nyo, second palagi kay chylomicron. Second largest, second least dense, second highest triglyceride content. Ang LDL naman po, highest cholesterol content. HDL, highest protein. Okay? Next, a hospitalized patient has a decreased serum copper level and increased urine copper level. This is most consistent with, okay, syempre pag copper na yung usapan, copper transport deficiency, that's your Wilson's disease. Okay, so pag-usapan natin ng Wilson's disease. Wilson's disease is an autosomal recessive disorder, okay, characterized by decreased levels of ceruloplasmin. Remember, ceruloplasmin is your copper transport protein. Okay? So, with the deficiency of your ceruloplasmin, you know that there is a copper transport problem in the patient. So, dahil may copper transport problem ka, yung copper mo tends to accumulate in various organs. Okay? Ano yung mga organs na pwedeng mag-accumulate yung copper? May naalala ba kayo, guys? Saan nag-accumulate yung copper? It could accumulate actually in the brain. So, patients with Wilson's disease will suffer from mental retardation because of the copper in the brain. Copper can also deposit in the liver. Okay? So, nagkakaroon sila ng cirrhosis. So, mental retardation, may cirrhosis. Then, if you look at the cornea of the patient, yan, yung cornea niya, nagkakaroon din accumulation ng copper, which we call as your Kaiser-Fletcher rings. Okay? Kaiser-Fletcher rings. This accumulates in the cornea. Right? So, sa liver, hepatic cirrhosis. Sa brain, neurologic damage. Sa cornea, Kaiser-Fletcher rings. Take note of the spelling. Although wala namang spelling sa boards, no? Pero yan. Okay? Hirap i-spell. Other laboratory findings in Wilson's disease, the total serum copper is decreased. And again, this is because of the deficiency of ceruloplasmin, which is your copper transport. Okay? So, decreased yung total serum copper sa dugo. Serum, rather. But, the free serum copper is increased. Okay? Pag sinabing free serum copper, yan yung hindi bound kay ceruloplasmin. Then because of the increased free serum copper, urinary copper is increased. Okay, tinatapon mo yung copper na yan na nasa serum sa urine. So increased din po yung urinary copper. Yan yung findings sa Wilson's disease. Okay, paborito ng board examiners po ito. Alright? Wilson's disease. And ceruloplasmin is a copper-containing protein. It contains more than 90% of the total serum copper. And it is used in the diagnosis of Wilson's disease. So again, so Wilson's disease, decreased ceruloplasmin, guys. Okay. Next question. Which one of the following usually shows a decrease during an acute phase response? So is it albumin, alpha-1 antitrypsin, fibrinogen, or ceruloplasmin? So ang tinatanong dito, guys, kung alam nyo ba kung sino yung mga tinatawag na negative acute phase proteins. Okay? So pag sinabi mong negative acute phase protein, okay, these proteins are decreased in acute phase responses or inflammation. Okay, in inflammation. An example of a negative acute phase protein would be albumin. Okay, si albumin po negative acute phase protein. So bumababa siya, okay, pag may inflammation ka. Other negative acute phase proteins include transferrin and transthyretin. Okay, so tatlo lang yan, albumin, transferrin, transthyretin. Sila yung tatandaan nyo, guys. Yung alpha-1 antitrypsin, fibrinogen, and ceruloplasmin, positive acute phase proteins naman sila. So nag-i-increase yung levels nila during acute phase response. Okay, other positive acute phase proteins include alpha-1 acid glycoprotein, haptoglobin, C3, C4, C-reactive protein, and serum amyloid A. Right? Another recall question dito, guys, no? Sino yung mga acute phase reactants na nag-increase by 1,000 times during inflammatory response? So sagot dyan, CRP or C-reactive protein and serum amyloid A. Okay? So tandaan yun, guys. Tandaan nyo din sino yung mga acute phase reactants. Kasi minsan ang tanong sa boards, which of the following is not an acute phase reactant? Okay? So pag hindi mo na memorize sino yung mga acute phase reactants, hindi mo masasagot yun. Okay, next question. Fecal urobilinogen level may be markedly decreased because of... Okay, for us to answer this, we need to review your bilirubin metabolism. Okay, so bilirubin comes from the breakdown of hemoglobin. Okay, remember your RBCs only have a lifespan of 120 days. Okay, 120 days na lifespan nila. After 120 days, the RBCs are broken, the hemoglobin is released, and that hemoglobin is processed. Okay? Ang hemoglobin nyo, it is comprised of heme plus globin. Diba? Heme plus globin. Ang heme, pag breakdown yan, becomes iron plus protoporphyrin 9. Right? So the protoporphyrin 9 is converted to biliverdin through your heme oxygenase. Okay? Wala lang sa illustration, no? So from protoporphyrin 9, it becomes biliverdin through your biliverdin reductase. Then yung biliverdin nyo through, baliktad. Saan ako? Yan. So yung protoporphyrin 9 through heme oxygenase, it becomes biliverdin. Then biliverdin through biliverdin reductase, it becomes bilirubin. Okay? So nandito na yan. Ayan, no? So, yung protoporphyrin nyo, ultimately, ang pinanggalingan ng bilirubin. Now, yung type ng bilirubin na yon is your unconjugated bilirubin. Okay? The problem with unconjugated bilirubin is that it is water insoluble. So, it cannot be transported in blood as is. Okay? Hindi siya pwedeng umikot-ikot sa blood na as is. Kailangan mo ng transporter, that is albumin. Okay? So, si albumin, ihahatid niya yung bilirubin sa liver. And in the liver, bilirubin undergoes conjugation. So, bilirubin becomes conjugated bilirubin. Okay? May isang tanong mamaya eh. Ano daw yung dinidikit natin kay bilirubin to form conjugated bilirubin? Ano sagot niyo dun, guys? Okay, that's your glucuronic acid. Okay, glucuronic acid. You can add one glucuronic acid to bilirubin, so you will have bilirubin monoglucuronide. Or you can add 2 glucuronic acid, so that's bilirubin diglucuronide. And sometimes may instances na 3. So, bilirubin triglucuronide. Pero, ang pinaka-predominant is of course bilirubin diglucuronide. 2 glucuronic acid na dinikit kay bilirubin. Okay? So, ano yung tawag sa enzyme? na nagko-conjugate sa bilirubin. Ano yung pangalan ng conjugating enzyme natin? That's your UDP glucuronyl transferase. Okay, so now your conjugated bilirubin can be excreted through your bile ducts. So after going to the bile duct, pwedeng ma-store temporarily sa gallbladder, tapos itatapon sa intestines. Pagdating sa large intestine, okay, that conjugated bilirubin will encounter bacteria wherein it would be oxidized to become urobilinogen. So ang urobilinogen pala galing kay conjugated bilirubin. Okay? So can you imagine what happens if you have bile duct obstruction? Anong mangyayari pag may bile duct obstruction ka? Pag may bile duct obstruction ka, yung conjugated bilirubin, hindi mo maitatapon sa intestines. So, hindi ka makapag-produce ng urobilinogen. So, in bile duct obstruction, urobilinogen is decreased. Anong mangyayari sa conjugated bilirubin? Conjugated bilirubin naman, increased. Okay? So, huwag kakalimutan guys, yun yung nangyayari sa bile duct obstruction. Now, yung urobilinogen po, okay, mako-convert yan to stercobilinogen then to stercobilin. Okay, and that stercobilin is responsible for the normal color of stool, which is a brown color. Okay, so when you have bile duct obstruction, the color of the stool is affected. Okay, magkakaroon ka ng anong kulay ng stool? Clay-colored stool. Ano pa ibang term doon? Pale gray na stool. Okay, yun yung tinatawag nating acolic stool. Okay, seen in bile duct obstruction. Okay, so apektado rin yung kulay ng tae. Right? So that's bilirubin metabolism. So answer po dito would be biliary obstruction, decreased levels of fecal urobilinogen. Okay. Next, which of the following is the correct calculation using the Friedewald calculation for LDL? Okay, so yung Friedewald calculation po, that is being used to compute for your LDL cholesterol. Okay, so ano yung tamang formula? LDL is equal to total cholesterol minus HDL minus triglycerides over 5. Okay? Now, provided that you are using milligrams per deciliter as your unit of measurement. Okay? Triglyceride over 5 yan. Kung milligrams per deciliter ka. Pero kung millimoles per liter, that becomes triglyceride over 2.175. May separate lecture video ako sa YouTube about the Friedewald calculation. Okay? So you can check that out. Now, why do we do this? Why do we do the Friedewald calculation? The reason is, in the laboratory, most of the time, we do not have a direct method. Okay? Wala tayong direct method for measuring LDL. Okay? Examples ng direct method, ultracentrifugation. Okay? Pero bihira naman yung mga routine laboratories na may ultracentrifugation. So what we do is, we just estimate the LDL using the following formula. Okay, tanong sa board exam, ano yung mga parameters na kailangan to compute for your LDL? So, kasama po ang total cholesterol, kasama ang HDL, kasama ang triglycerides. Okay? Anong purpose ng triglyceride over 5? Your triglyceride over 5 is used to estimate the VLDL. Okay, yung VLDL, wala rin kasi tayong direct method eh. Okay? So, what we do is we estimate it using the triglyceride level. So, triglyceride over 5. Ayan. Let me just point out the third bullet. So, the calculation is considered valid if the triglyceride value is less than 400. Okay, hindi pwedeng sobrang taas ng triglyceride. Otherwise, your Friedewald calculation would be invalid. Okay, you will have to use a correction. Okay? So, hindi na natin di-discuss yun. Okay. Next, which of the following substance is conjugated with the indirect bilirubin to form direct bilirubin? So we have been talking about this a while ago. For us to create direct bilirubin or conjugated bilirubin, you need to conjugate glucuronic acid to your indirect bilirubin or your unconjugated bilirubin. Okay? So that's the process, no? How we form conjugated bilirubin. Then what's the enzyme? Again, the enzyme is UDP glucuronyl transferase. Ito, binalik lang yung bilirubin metabolism nyo. Okay? So, kabisaduhin ito guys. Marami kayong masasagot sa boards kapag kabisado natin yung bilirubin metabolism. Okay, next question. Enzymeology na to guys. So a reaction is in blank kinetics when the reaction rate depends only on enzyme concentration. Okay, so anong answer dito? The answer would be zero order. So ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Zero order, first order, di ba? Nakakagutom. Okay, pa-order. Haha. Okay. So, this is what we mean by first order and zero order. Okay, so you have here a graph on the right. On the x-axis, you have substrate concentration. On the y-axis, you have reaction velocity or kung gaano kabilis yung rate of reaction mo. So as you could see, while you increase the substrate concentration, di ba nasa x-axis ka, habang tumataas ang substrate concentration, yung reaction velocity mo, may nagsad react, yung reaction velocity mo, nag-increase din linearly. Okay? Which makes sense, di ba? Pag dinagdagan mo yung substrate mo, bumibilis talaga yung pag-produce mo ng product. Okay? Bumibilis yung reaction velocity. So that is what we call first order kinetics. Okay? Wherein the rate of reaction is almost directly proportional to substrate concentration at low level. Okay, sige, angry react pa. Okay? So yan. Yan ang first order. Ang substrate concentration mo, nakaka-apekto pa sa reaction velocity. However, as you increase your substrate concentration further, tingnan nyo guys, increase mo palala yung substrate concentration. Anong mangyari sa reaction velocity? Yung reaction velocity mo eventually nagpa-plateau. Eh, hindi na siya nag-i-increase. Okay, meron na siyang maximum. Okay, tinatawag na maximum velocity. Okay, pag abot mo dyan sa point na yan, kung saan tinataas mo yung substrate, pero hindi na naapektuhan yung reaction velocity, ang tawag natin dyan, zero order kinetics. So sa zero order kinetics, the substrate concentration no longer causes changes in the reaction velocity. Okay? So yung difference, ang first order apektado ng substrate, ang zero order hindi na po apektado ng substrate concentration. Kahit na itaas mo pa yung substrate concentration, hindi na po bibilis yung reaction velocity. You already have your maximum velocity. Nakuha? Now, how about enzyme concentration? Can enzyme concentration affect first order and zero order kinetics? Enzyme concentration. Damihan mo yung enzyme, bibilis ba yung reaction velocity pag nasa first order kinetics ka? Yes. Diba? Mas maraming enzyme, edi mas maraming magpa-process ng substrate. How about in zero order kinetics? Bibilis ba yung reaction velocity mo pag nagdagdag ka ng enzyme? Ganun din, yes din. Kasi pag dumami yung enzyme mo, mas maraming magpa-process ng substrate to make them products. Okay? Now, you might be asking, bakit kaya ganito? Eh, bakit nagpa-plateau? Diba supposedly, pag dumami na dumami yung substrate, bibilis din ang bibilis yung velocity mo. Diba? Pero bakit hindi ganun yung nangyayari? The reason is oversaturation. Yun yung keyword dito, guys. Oversaturation. Okay? Damihan mo yung substrate, pero yung enzyme mo, as is pa rin, mapupuno din yung enzyme. Magkakaroon ka ng oversaturation. Okay? Parang ano lang yan parang students lang yan na nag-aaral. X-axis, number ng notes. Y-axis, yung alam. Okay? Yung knowledge. Bigyan namin kayo ng mas maraming notes. Okay? Syempre, padami kayo ng padami ng alam. Pero eventually, pag sobrang dami na ng notes, okay, you have oversaturation, nagkakaroon na ng maximum na amount of knowledge. So parang ganun din po yung ating enzyme kinetics. Okay? It's about oversaturation. Kaya may first order and zero order kinetics. Okay? I hope you understood. Okay? So how do you increase your maximum knowledge? Ano lang, segue lang guys. Review tips. How do you maximize or how do you increase your maximum knowledge? Yung maximum na holding capacity ng brain. Of course, it has to do with reading always. Okay? You need to be a continuous learner. Aral kayo na aral dapat lagi. You have to train your brain na everyday nagbabasa. Okay? That's the only way that you will expand your capacity for learning. Otherwise, kung hindi mo ginagamit yan, parang ibang muscle, di ba? Pag di mo ginagamit yan, liliit. Okay, yung capacity mo. So, kailangan everyday nagbabasa tayo. Ha? That's the reason why I keep on telling my students, you need to be reading every day. Okay? Kahit na iniisip mo na, ay makakalimutan ko rin to after 1 month, okay lang. Okay? At least, kahit na makalimutan mo yan, na-expand mo na yung container mo. Okay? Isipin niyo yung utak niyo guys, parang pitsil. Okay? Or actually, yung iba baso, ganyan. So, start ka sa baso, yung utak mo. Now, the more that you read, the more that you expand your cup. Okay? It becomes a pitcher, it becomes a drum, and so on. Okay? So, you increase your capacity if you always learn. Okay? Yun lang yung mahalaga dun, guys, ha? Okay? Keep on learning. Okay? Bawasan nyo din, of course, yung mga mindless activities. Ano ba yung mga mindless activity? Panonood ng TV, diba? Pag nanood ka ng TV, hindi gumagana yung brain mo eh. Pumapasok lang ng pumapasok, tapos eventually lumalabas din eh. So it does not expand your capacity for learning. Okay? Read your books. Read your books. Yun lang. Sige, so much for that. Next. The LD molecule is made of a combination of polypeptides that can be separated into isoenzymes that help determine the location of an elevated LD. Ang haba nung question. LD3 is found primarily in the lung, lymphocyte, spleen, and pancreas. But what polypeptides make up LD3? So actually, ang tanong lang, ano yung polypeptides or ano yung subunits na nagme-make up sa LD3? Now remember, lactate dehydrogenase is comprised of 4 subunits or 4 polypeptides. Those could either be H or M. Okay, H or M. Ang LD3 mo would contain equal amounts of your H and M subunits. So ang sagot dito, LDHHMM. Okay, HHMM. Nakuha? So, yun po. Ilan by the way ang LD isoenzymes? 5 ang LD isoenzymes. Okay? So, lahat po sila magkakaiba ng number of H and M subunits. Okay? Yung LD1 mo, sabihin na natin, is comprised of LD, what? HHHH. Then LD2 is HHHM. LD3 is LD3 is HHMM. Para ka nagte-text lang eh. HMMM. Diba? LD4 is HMMM. LD5 is MMMM. Okay? So yun lang. Nagbabago lang yung kanilang subunits. Then, other names, okay? Yung LD isoenzymes mo are designated as LD1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Okay? So yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 then would actually represent yung kanilang pattern sa electrophoresis. Okay? Ang pinaka-anodal, pag sinabing anodal, yung pinakamalapit sa positive na electrode, ang pinaka-anodal is LD1. Okay? LD1. How about sa concentration? Sino yung pinaka-mataas sa concentration sa kanila? Pinaka-mataas na concentration, LD2. Okay, so it's 2, 1, 3, 4, 5 when it comes to serum concentration. Sometimes nagkakaroon ng flip, nagiging 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, pagka nagkaroon ka ng flip, it's either you have hemolysis in your sample or it could be a sign of myocardial infarction. Okay, so please review your enzymes. So correct answer is HHMM. Ito pala. Okay. So LD4 HMMM. Yan o. LD5 MMMM and so on. Tapos magkakaiba sila ng location. Okay. Which of the following enzyme is the most sensitive indicator of long-term liver damage associated with alcohol ingestion? Sino kaya dito ang associated with alcohol ingestion? Okay. I'm sure ngayong quarantine, nagsibabaan ang GGT ng mga tao. Lalo na dito sa Baguio na may liquor ban. Okay? Ang GGT po, ginagamit po siya as a marker of chronic alcoholism. Okay, bakit siya yung ginagamit as a marker of chronic alcoholism? This has to do with the half-life of GGT. Ang GGT nyo kasi ang half-life niya, 28 days. So it can reflect in alcohol abuse up to 3 to 4 weeks prior to testing. Okay? Unlike yung ALT and AST, tingnan niyo yung kanilang half-life. ALT 47 hours, AST 17 hours. So short term lang. Okay? Short term lang yung i-reflect nila. Ang GGT, it can reflect 3 to 4 weeks. Okay? GGT is elevated in about 60 to 70% of chronic alcohol abusers. Okay? Dapat aside from COVID testing, magpa-GGT testing din dito sa Baguio just to check kung nag-comply ba sa liquor ban. Okay? Next question. Ito yung isa sa mga questions na maraming nagkamali actually. The Deritis ratio is the calculation of AST over ALT. So, tandaan yung arrangement AST to ALT. And this is used for evaluating liver disease. What should the ratio be when ethanol-related liver disease is expected? So, alcohol na naman yung usapan. Okay? Now, in most of your liver diseases, like for example, viral hepatitis, mas tumataas si ALT compared kay AST. So, ano mangyayari sa ratio mo? Kapag mas mataas yung denominator kaysa sa numerator, yung ratio mo would be less than 1. Okay? So, in viral hepatitis, most of the time, that's less than 1. Anong reason? Mas mataas ang ALT kaysa sa AST. Although pareho silang increased. Okay? Now, in alcohol-related liver diseases, mas tumataas si AST compared kay ALT. Although they are both elevated. Okay? Now, mas mataas si AST kaysa kay ALT. So, you're expecting na more than 1 yung inyong Deritis ratio in alcohol-related liver diseases. Okay? And, ang hinahanap po natin dyan, more than 2.0. Okay? In alcohol-related liver diseases. Yung 1 to 2 could be seen in cirrhosis. Okay? 1 to 2 could be seen in cirrhosis. Sana walang sumagot nitong letter D. The Deritis ratio is not used for liver disease. Okay? Ang tama po dito, greater than 2.0. So, yan. Sa healthy individuals, ang normal ratio nyo din is less than 1.0. Okay? Although, of course, sa normal individuals, normal din yung levels ng both AST and ALT. Okay? Yan. Ratio between 1 to 2, cirrhosis, over 2 could indicate ethanol-related liver disease. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is the earliest biochemical marker of myocardial infarction? So, lahat ng choices natin dito are markers of myocardial infarction. Okay, lahat sila marker. Okay, pero sino yung earliest? Ang earliest po natin is myoglobin. Okay? Siya yung earliest protein to elevate after myocardial infarction. Tandaan yung mnemonics natin dito, guys. Ang mnemonics natin dito, MT-cal. MT-cal. Myoglobin, troponin, CK, AST, LD. MT-cal. Myoglobin, troponin, CK, AST, LD. Okay? May mga nag-angry react. Bakit kaya? Nag-aaway ba kayo sa chat box, guys? O may inaatake na sa puso dyan? Okay, so empty ka dyan. Ito yung illustration ng mga biochemical markers for myocardial infarction. So as you could see, myoglobin increases sharply after MI, then followed by your troponin and CK. So MT-cal yan. CK, yung pinakaunang enzyme na mag-increase after MI. Okay? Then after CK would be AST, then pinakahuli po ang LD. Okay, so tandaan nyo, MT-cal. First protein to elevate, myoglobin. First enzyme, creatinine kinase or CKMB. Alright? Ayun. Now, when it comes to the time that they will peak and the time that they will return to normal, MT-cal din yung susundan nyo. Except, si troponin, di ba siya yung second na tataas? Si troponin, magde-decrease siya or babalik siya sa normal after a very long period of time. Parang LDH din. Okay? So, around 10 to 14 days pang hihintayin mo bago bumalik si troponin sa normal. Okay? Ano pa yung question dito? Ano yung gold standard? Siyempre, ang gold standard nyo would be troponin. Okay? Particularly troponin I and troponin T. Okay? Yun na yung gold standard for the diagnosis of myocardial infarction. Okay? Actually, sa hospital, usually ang available na lang is troponin and CKMB. Okay? Ang CKMB, nire-request lang yan kapag may troponin kung gusto mong i-check kung nagkaroon ba ng repeat na heart attack yung pasyente. Naulit ba yung myocardial infarction. Ang problema kasi sa troponin, di ba? Tataas siya. Tapos matagal siyang babalik sa normal. Dahil matagal pa siyang babalik sa normal, it cannot be used to reflect yung repeat na heart attack. Okay, yung repeat myocardial infarction. Okay, kasi hindi mo alam, baka pala dito, ayan, at inatake na ulit, dito inatake na ulit, and so on. Okay? Hindi mo alam kasi hindi pa bumalik sa normal yan. Ang CKMB, dahil mas mabilis siyang bumalik sa normal, pwede nyo siyang gamitin to check kung nag-repeat MI ba. Okay? Yun. Totoo yun. Nagkakaroon ng repeat MI. Inatake na, tapos inatake ulit, and so on. So for that case, you use CKMB, okay, to detect repeat myocardial infarction. But the gold standard, of course, for diagnosis is still troponin. Do you need to know these patterns? Yes, you need to know these patterns. Okay? Kasi baka may sumugod sa inyo na doctor in the future, tapos tanungin kayo, bakit negative yung troponin ko? Mukha namang inaatake yung pasyente talaga. Inaaway ka. Ano sasagot mo, 'di ba? Mahirapan ka sumagot pag wala kang knowledge, 'di ba? Kailangan alam mo yung pattern. Ang sasagot mo doon, Doc, kailan ba siya inatake? Or kailan ba nag-appear yung chest pain? Sabi ng doktor, 30 minutes ago. Ano sasagot mo? Doc, ang troponin, tataas yan 4 hours pa lang after the onset of MI. Diba? Mas intelihenteng sagot. Kasi nag-aral ka mabuti, diba? Kasi nag-enroll ka sa Legend. Ayan, shameless plug. Or nakinig ka sa lecture ni Sir Gab. Okay? So, ganun po yan. Yun yung reason why you need to know these patterns. Right? Pero hopefully walang sumugod sa inyo na doktor sa lab pag nag-work na kayo. The following best describe serum HCG levels during pregnancy. Okay, so A, rise in levels throughout pregnancy. B, highest levels found at the end of pregnancy. C, rapid rise in levels during first trimester. Slow decline and possible level off. Or D, slow rise in levels during first trimester, rapid rise during second, and slow decline. Ang dami. So, ang tamang sagot dito, guys, letter C. Okay? Tumataas ang HCG in the first trimester. Then after that, babagsak na. Ito yung pattern. Okay, ang first trimester niya until 14 weeks na age of gestation. So makita nyo, in the first trimester yan, magpipeak siya. Then after that, babagsak na. So let's talk about HCG. HCG is a glycoprotein hormone. So meaning protein hormone siya, but it contains a significant amount of carbohydrate. So, kaya tinawag na glycoprotein hormone. Yung mga glycoprotein hormones nyo, unique sila kasi they have 2 subunits. Lahat ng glycoprotein hormones. So, sino ba yung mga glycoprotein hormones? HCG, FSH, LH, TSH. So, ulitin ko HCG. Anyway, i-ano ko naman to, i-upload ko. So, kung di nyo nakuha, balikan nyo. FSH, LH, TSH, HCG. These are glycoprotein hormones. Okay, ang glycoprotein hormones may dalawang subunits, alpha and beta. Okay? Yung alpha chain nila is common. Okay? Pareho yung kanilang alpha chain. So, kumbaga sa magkakapatid, yun yung apelido nila, alpha chain. Okay? Ang difference sa kanila, ang unique sa kanila would be their beta chains. So, if you want to identify the glycoprotein hormones, okay, you need to check for the beta chain kasi nandun yung kanilang uniqueness. Right? HCG is produced by cells that are surrounding a growing embryo. Yung tinatawag nating syncytial trophoblasts. Okay? No need to memorize this. Nice to know lang. This eventually forms the placenta after implantation. Okay? So, basically, it's the placenta which produces HCG. Okay? Na anong purpose na HCG? Ang HCG ninyo, okay, will cause the corpus luteum in the ovary to survive. Okay? Ano ba yung corpus luteum? Yung corpus luteum nyo, sa ovary, yan yung nagpo-produce ng progesterone. So, without the HCG, mamamatay yung corpus luteum sa ovary, babagsak yung progesterone levels mo. Which we do not want to happen. Kasi yung progesterone, siya yung magme-maintain ng pregnancy. Okay? It will maintain the viability of the pregnancy. So, kapag nawala yung HCG, patay yung corpus luteum, bagsak ang progesterone, pwedeng magkaroon ng abortion. Okay? Kaya yung mga pasyente na may threatened abortion in the first trimester, usually binibigyan niya ng some form of progesterone. Okay? Pampakapit. Right? So, that's the purpose of HCG. It is detected in some pregnancy tests. Okay? Some cancerous tumors produce this hormone. Therefore, elevated levels measured when the patient is not pregnant may lead to a cancer diagnosis. Right? So that's HCG. Next question. I think we're near the end of the quiz. Carbon dioxide is predominantly found in the blood in the form of course, the answer here would be bicarbonate. Ang tinanong sa amin noon, September 2014, ilang percent ng total CO2 ang bicarbonate? Would anyone know? So, ilang percent po ng carbon dioxide is in the form of bicarbonate? So, the answer would be 90%. Okay, 90%. Kaya ang normal values mo for carbon dioxide, total carbon dioxide rather, and bicarbonate, malapit yan sa isa't isa. Okay, so let's talk about your blood gas parameters. Okay? So for your blood gas parameters, yan, you have the following: pH, PCO2, PO2, bicarbonate, total CO2, carbonic acid, and oxygen saturation. Okay, ang una nyo dapat alamin guys, the reference ranges. Kailangan kabisado to. Kasi kung di nyo kabisado yung reference ranges, mahirapan kayo mag-interpret ng acid-base disorders. Okay? Then, alamin natin paano minimeasure ang bawat parameter. Okay, yung first three parameters nyo, pH, PCO2, and PO2, they are measured using electrodes. So, they are directly measured. Okay? pH, PCO2, PO2. Tandaan na, pag tinanong kayo, sino directly measured? pH, PCO2, and PO2. Yung PCO2 electrode, okay, is also known as your Severing-Haas. Magkadikit dapat to. Severing-Haas electrode. Yung PO2 naman is your Clark electrode. Okay? Bicarbonate is usually a calculated value on your blood gas analyzer. So this is another recall question. Ano daw yung blood gas parameter na kino-compute using your Henderson-Hasselbalch equation? So, sino yung kino-compute using Henderson-Hasselbalch? That's bicarbonate. Okay, computed using Henderson-Hasselbalch. Ang total CO2 nyo, calculated lang yan. You add your bicarbonate plus carbonic acid. So, total CO2 na. Carbonic acid, calculated din. Multiply PCO2 by 0.03. So, nakadepende ito sa PCO2. Okay, so that's your carbonic acid. So those are the blood gas parameters. Ang sagot dito sa question natin, bicarbonate. Okay, 90% of your carbon dioxide is in the form of bicarbonates. Okay, next, which of the following is true of a fully compensated metabolic acidosis? Actually, kung nabasa niyo yung fully compensated, dapat nakasagot na kayo agad. Kasi pag sinabing fully compensated, ibig sabihin yung pH nyo normal na. Okay? Fully compensated na nga, diba? Ibig sabihin na compensated na correct. Okay? So, fully corrected, kumbaga. So, the pH would be normal. Okay? Pag sinabi mong uncompensated, abnormal yung pH mo. Okay? Uncompensated, abnormal ang pH. Tapos, kung sino man yan dapat mag-compensate, hindi pa gumagalaw. Okay? So, that's uncompensated. Pag gumalaw na yung magko-compensate, that's what we call partially compensated. Tapos, pag yung gumalaw na nag-compensate, nadala niya sa normal na yung pH, that's what we call fully compensated. Okay? I have a separate video about acid-base disorders, so you can check that out. Alright? Ano yun? 7 minutes. So, yun. Panoorin nyo siya, you will learn a lot about your acid-base disorders. Okay? And how to analyze acid-base disorders easily. So, ito po yung mga iba't ibang acid-base disorders. Kailangan nyo malaman ano yung mga nagkakos ng disorder. Okay? So for the case of your metabolic acidosis and metabolic alkalosis, as you could see, it's a change in the bicarbonate level. Kapag respiratory acidosis naman and respiratory alkalosis, the problem is with your PCO2. For compensation, makikita nyo kung sino yung normal or sino yung hindi nag-cause nung disorder, siya yung magko-compensate. Baliktaran lang kumbaga. Okay, baliktaran lang. Tapos makita nyo, same direction na arrows. Yan. Again, watch yung other video natin about acid-base disorders. Nasa YouTube naman. Okay, I think this is the second to the last question. Vitamin D is formed in the skin and hydroxylated in two places before it is in its active form of 125 dihydroxyvitamin D. Where does the second hydroxylation occur? So this is about vitamin D metabolism. Actually, nice to know lang to, pero yan, sagutin na rin natin. The answer here would be the kidneys. Okay, kidneys po nangyayari ang second hydroxylation. So ito yan. Okay? Your 7-dehydrocholesterol, which is a metabolite of cholesterol, is converted to cholecalciferol or vitamin D3 with the ultraviolet light from the sun. Okay? Kaya kailangan mo yung skin. Okay? Now, yung cholecalciferol na yan, or vitamin D3, it goes to the liver for its first hydroxylation. Okay? Yung pinakaunang hydroxylation happens in the liver. Okay? So, makita nyo, from cholecalciferol, it becomes 25-hydroxy vitamin D. Okay? So, first hydroxylation happens in the liver. Now, para ma-activate fully yung vitamin D na yan, kailangan pumunta siya sa kidneys. Okay? For its second hydroxylation. The second hydroxylation happens in the kidneys and it converts the 25-hydroxyvitamin D3 to 125-dihydroxyvitamin D3. Yun yung pinaka-active na form ng vitamin D. Okay? This will explain kung bakit pag may chronic kidney disease ang pasyente, nagkakaroon din ng problem sa calcium. Okay? Remember, vitamin D is important in calcium reabsorption in the kidneys. Okay? Pag bagsak ang vitamin D mo, tinatapon mo ng tinatapon yung calcium sa ihi. So magkaka-hypocalcemia ka. And as a result, yung bones mo magiging weak, magiging fragile, and so on. Okay? So sa CKD, nagkaka-problem din sa calcium and sa bones because of deficiency of this hydroxylation. Okay? So, yun po. Pag tinanong kayo, anong organs ang important sa synthesis ng vitamin D? So, skin, liver, kidney. Okay? Pwede nyo gawing mnemonics dito, SKL. Diba? Share ko lang. Pero hindi yun yung arrangement, ha? Tandaan nyo, kidney yung last na hydroxylation. Okay? A deficiency in which of the following vitamins is associated with rickets? I think this is the last question. So the answer here, of course, would be vitamin D. Ano yung deficiency ng thiamine or vitamin B1? That's your beriberi. Okay? In alcoholics, you can also have vitamin B1 deficiency, which we call as your Wernicke-Korsakoff deficiency. A vitamin C, Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome pala, rather. Vitamin C deficiency causes scurvy. Vitamin A deficiency causes night blindness. Okay, night blindness. Vitamin D will cause rickets among children. Okay, among adults, ang vitamin D deficiency nyo nagkukos ng osteomalacia. So let's talk about rickets. Ayan. Okay, this is a skeletal disorder caused by a lack of vitamin D. And as expected, ang problem mo dito, calcium. Okay, so mangyari, yung bones ng bata, hindi maayos ang pagka-form. Okay, so makita nyo, may pagkakuba, okay? Yung chest ng bata may depression, okay? Tinatawag namin pigeon chest. Large head, protruding forehead, curved yung kanyang bones sa forearm because of the calcium problem. Okay? Curved femur. Minsan itong mga to, actually most of the time makita mo para silang sakang. Okay? Because of the problem in the bone formation nga. So there are weak and soft bones, stunted growth, and in severe cases, skeletal deformity. So that's rickets. Kaya important ang vitamin D sa mga bata. And even adults, of course. Sa adults, again, ang vitamin D deficiency causes osteomalacia. Right? So that's it for this rationalization. Okay. Ayun, 1 hour tayo. Ayos. May mga tanong po ba? Okay. So I hope you have learned something from this. Guys, I know most of you medyo frustrated that postponed na naman yung boards. Okay? Okay lang ma-frustrate, but kasi emotion yan It really comes. Pero ang magmamatter is how you deal with this emotion. Okay? How you deal with these feelings. Okay? So kung frustrated kayo, use that to fuel you na sige mag-aaral pa ako lalo. Okay? I will have a better board exam result. Okay? Do not be controlled by your emotions. Okay? Kailangan na magko-control sa'yo yung mind mo. Okay? Yan. Yung actions mo dapat galing sa utak, pinag-iisipan. Okay, aral tayo guys ha. So, I think I will be doing this every week naman. So, yun. Aral lang po ng aral. And we will help you, of course. Hindi namin kayo papabayaan. Okay, if you have questions, please message me. Thank you for watching this lecture. And yun nga, please aim high always. Okay, thank you.